Lolly-ho internet, this is the Orpig coming to you. Today I wanted to do a video about being harder on yourself in the gym than anybody else can be, alright? Because it's ultimately up to you. When I was in the Marine Corps, as I mentioned before, I did a lot of competitive shooting, okay? And with divisional matches and Marine Corps matches, you would actually get a week to 2 weeks of practice time where we would basically shoot the matches over and over to get practice to make sure our zeros were correct and everything. And of course, a lot of us would talk with one another to see how we're doing because, you know, we all want that medal. So we want to know how we're doing. And I remember every single time, and this is from the top tier guys all the way to the lowest guy, all right? Every time I ask them, you know, I get to talking about shooting, I would ask them, you know, how you doing? You know, what's your scores looking like to get an idea of how I'm managing? And they would, man, out of 300 points, right? They would always be like, oh, man, every day I'm shooting in the 280s. I mean, I consistently shooting 285, 286, and my worst day I shoot like a 280 or a 279 maybe, but mostly in the 280s. And I'm like, wow, you know, I'm shooting 260s. Maybe I have a day where I'm in the 270s, maybe the high 270s, and I'm like, woo, I broke 275. You know, I got into that high range, and I would be like, wow, this is great. And what happens come match day? Well, those people who said that they were consistently shooting 280s are all the way down at the bottom shooting 230, 240. Where am I? I'm shooting 270s, high 270s, because match day is no different than practice day. Now, why is this? Well, you could say it's the jitters from shooting the actual match and the points count, but ultimately what it comes down to is these individuals were not hard on themselves, okay? They would take more time to fire that last shot and they would still count it as a 10. Meanwhile, here I am, where if a shot is on the line, and even though I know it's good, I know it's a 10 or a 9, you know, it's 1 point value higher than what I actually shot, I wouldn't give myself that shot. I would give myself the lower score because I want to be harder on myself because I want to make sure I improve. So I would give myself the lower score. And that's how you got to be when you're in the gym, okay? A lot of us have apps. I use an app to keep track of what weights I'm doing, how many reps and everything. And so if I'm pushing out my weight and I get to 8, and then on the 9th one I kind of half it, and then, you know, 10 is a little bit less. Guess what's going in the app? 8, maybe even 7. Because at the end of the day, I really don't care about points that this Fitocracy app gives me. I don't care about that, okay? I care about what I'm actually doing. And I'm going to be harder on myself than anybody else. And I'm not going to give myself credit. When I do drop sets, when I drop down, so let's say I'm at 135 benching, okay? Just, you know, lightweight. 135 bench and I get to 10, and then I drop the plates off and I throw quarters on, and I do those as much as I can. I only count what I did for 135. I really don't care about drop sets. I really don't care about the points. I don't care about the weight. I'm going to be harder on myself, and I'm probably going to go 2 reps less than what I actually did. Just because you have got to be hard on yourself. You've got to be honest with yourself. You've got to be honest about pushing that weight actually to the full potential. You can't be lenient. It's not about giving yourself credit. Just because you give yourself credit, you think that's going to matter in the real world. If you're a power lifter and you're going for strength and you say, well, I pretty much got 315. I mean, that guy didn't help much. You think that's going to count when it comes down to judgment day? No. You need to push yourself even harder. So you have got to be harder on yourself in the gym than anybody else can. All right? You have got to be honest. And let's face it, this doesn't just go with the gym. This goes with your diet as well. So many people, whether you're using the MyFitness app or some other app to keep track of your calories, so many people feel like if I don't put it in the app, if I don't talk about it, it didn't happen. It did happen. It probably happened worse than, if you are one of these people, it probably happened worse than what you actually put into the app. So maybe you ate 50 M&Ms and you put in, maybe I ate about 30. You ought to put 100 M&Ms. You ought to put that you ate 100, you know? When I did keep track of my fitness app, I ate like some of my wife's home-cooked lasagna, right? How can you find that? Well, put in lasagna and I look. I would pick the one with the highest calories. I wouldn't pick the one with the lowest calories. I would go through it and find the one with the highest calories, and I would say, this is probably what I ate, and put that in. Because you have got to be honest with yourself. And until you're honest with yourself, you're going to be like these people. I watch My 600 Pound Life, right? And these morbidly obese people who just feel like if they don't mention it, if they don't say it, it didn't happen. You know, they go into the doctor, he asks how they're doing, and they're like, I'm doing great, I'm following the diet to the T, and yet you gain 4 pounds in a month. Like, no, you're not. If you followed your diet, even if you had 1 cheat day a week, so you had 4 cheat days in a month, you still wouldn't gain weight because you would have 6 days of doing good on your diet and 1 day of breaking it. Even if you do a day, you're supposed to do just a meal. So you did just 1 meal out of possibly 28 meals, and yet they're not honest to the doctor. So that means they're not being honest to themselves. You're saying that food doesn't count. You're saying that this one didn't quite count. You're saying you only ate 1 piece of pie when you know you ate 2, maybe even 3. Or if you're like me, you ate the whole pie. Okay, you have got to be honest when you are tracking your history. You have got to be honest with yourself. And it's not about guilting yourself. So many people are worried that they're going to guilt themselves into becoming bulimic or anorexic. You shouldn't have that fear that you're going to guilt yourself. You know what you're doing, okay? Just because you write it down doesn't make it any more true than it happening. It happened, and you have got to come with terms with that. So be hard on yourself. Be hard on yourself in the gym. Don't count those little wimp half reps or any of that. Say that you used less weight than you actually did, you know? And when it comes to food, just be honest with yourself. Be hard on yourself, because that's going to make you better. And when you are harder on yourself, you're going to find that your body and your mind is going to push yourself even harder to overcome those goals, because you're giving yourself a handicap. Take that handicap. Make yourself stronger. Make yourself tougher. All right? Mentally and physically. This is my Orpig. I hope you enjoyed this video. Make sure you like, subscribe. Going to get a lot more videos out there to you. And I'll see you next time. Bye. Hey, if you stuck around, thanks. It's time for another What's on My Set List. So today's song is by Fall Out Boy, which is a great group. I love them. There's tons of songs that you can listen to, but one of my personal favorites on my workout set list is Light 'Em Up. Fast, upbeat, used to come on the radio a lot. Now you really don't hear it that much, so it's a good song to throw on your set list for it to pop up every now and then, motivate you. Let me know what songs you're listening to when you work out, and I'll see you next time. Bye.